we've decided to go for the trials, which is controversial. So it's Tuesday, the week before trials. We've got 2 sets of 4x200 off of a minute and 45. I'm gonna jump in with the girls today. It's the final session before the trials. I'm giving the girls a 10-meter head start. So we went 25-2, 24-5, 25-0, 24-7 I think. But it feels really weird gauging the distance, but all good, legs are in a good place. A little bit tired from training again, but overall pretty good. Girls running quick. That hurt a lot more than I thought it would. I feel pretty beat up. That was tough. It's quite good. The only problem is they sent me the footage the day we released it. Yeah, so I was like, see, they had so much like professional footage on the proper cameras, but I still have 2 sessions. In there. It's a good one, that area. Yeah, so it was a good little session. I'll be honest, I was a little bit nervous last week because my body just felt super flat. I've raced so much over the last 6 weeks and I haven't really done a huge amount of training. And I think that was definitely a flaw in what I've done. I think I should definitely have trained a little bit more, or my porridge has leaked. And I think there was an element of nerves, but I think I've hit a few sessions over the last few days and body seems to be bouncing back quite nicely, which is always quite positive, and needed as well. I kind of needed to feel good, so starting to feel a bit better now. Today we did 2 sets of 4 200s off of a minute. I was just chasing down the girls, so we went like 24 average on the first set, 25, 26 is on the second sets, and then minute recovery and then 45. So I mean the times weren't anything special, but again, it is what it is right now. I've done the work. I've had 0 setbacks from between now and I've only missed 10 days since January, so I think I'm dealing with a different level of training. So I'm dealing with fatigue that I'm not used to dealing with, because I've always had setbacks, and this time I think I went for a bit of a slump, and now I'm sort of feeling like I'm coming back again. So Tuesday today, trials on Saturday, the heats, and then the finals on Sunday. But again, we're gonna navigate the heats first, and then we'll get onto the finals and go from there. But I'm quite looking forward to it. I am quite looking forward to it. We're doing the 800. We've targeted the 15 all season. We've decided to go for the 8 at the trials, which is controversial because I've got a much higher ranking in the 15 this year, and I've actually been running a lot better. However, we've looked at myself, the way I'm performing, the way I seem to be, the trajectory of the training and the type of training we can do between now and the Olympics. We've looked at the competition, we've looked at teams, and we've just come to the general conclusion that the 8 we think is the better bet, but there's a few things we'd like to tweak heading into next year, and the 15 will 1,000,000% be our choice next year, and there's no question about that. But for now, we're gonna stick with the 15. 8. Truth is, I don't bloody care what I do, man. I'd happily run either. I'm happy to run the 8 or the 15. I really am. It just doesn't make any difference. I'm quite comfortable in both. I enjoy both. I find the 8 more volatile. It worries me how volatile it is sometimes. We can't make a mistake. And the 8, it's funny, the 8 will be easier to medal but hard to make the final, where the 15 will be harder to medal but easier to make the final. That's not going to make any sense unless you're in the sport. But if you know the sport and you know how 800 meter running works and 1500 meter running works, you'll know that the guys that are the best tend to reign in the 15. The guys that are the best in the 8, unless you're head and shoulders above, don't necessarily always reign. A lot of you watching this now will understand what I mean, which is why Amos, as he got in his later years, wasn't performing as well in the main champs. Not in a disrespectful way. He would kill us all in Diamond Leagues and run 142s, 143s, come to the main champs and he would fluff it. So many people did that. So many people do that, sorry. Whereas in the 15, the same guys that are reigning in the top of the Diamond Leagues tend to reign also in the champs. So it's just a different event, different league, tactical running, no paces, all that yada yada. The first thing to note is that absolutely nothing's guaranteed at this weekend. We have to remember that it doesn't matter how hard we've worked or how much we want it. I've said it before, I'll say it again. The start line doesn't discriminate, so understanding that, we have to take it incredibly seriously. Even the heats, traditionally the 800 at British Trials has been 1 through and then 4 fastest losers, which means usually one of the heats has 5 people go through and the others only have 1. Generally means we lose a few of the favourites because they're normally slower races and the quickest runner isn't necessarily the best kicker, although they might be faster on paper. The guys we're competing against, they're good. The 15 has like guys ranked in the top 10 to 15, like about 5 or 6 guys ranked up in the world. The 8 probably has way more depth and there's more room for error. So the 8's going to be, I think it's a funny one. The 8's going to be tough because a ton of guys only 145. 145 is good. Have to be very careful. Okay, so now I think we should look at who we're racing against. So now we've chose the 15, we've chose the 8 to do. Our plan initially all winter, leading up to about maybe a few weeks ago, just before Rome actually, was to do the 15 and then we decided to do the 8 and made the decision. Yeah, this weekend just gone, so a week before trials. But I think the 8's going to be incredibly volatile. There's let's talk about the danger man. Number 1 danger man is Ben Patterson. So Ben is the reigning world bronze medalist, has got a formidable kick, one heck of a kick, and he's just got everything going for him. He's incredibly fast. He can run a 20, he'd probably run like a 20.200 rolling, maybe 21 standing. Got a 444 in his locker if he really wanted to over the 400, and he's got an engine on him. He ran a crazy quick 5k recently, so he's the biggest danger man. Second danger man is Max Bergen, young prodigy that is just a phenomenal talent. I think we all know of Max. Big talent. There we go, move it out the way now. Yeah, huge talent. Max is a heck of a runner. He is special. He's notorious for front running, so he's going to be brilliant to have in the final. If you're watching this now, it's the Sunday before the final, providing we've all made it through, which is not a guarantee. Max is a notorious kicker. He's ran 143 from the front. He's run 144 from the front. He is the guy that's going to be taken out quickly. But on the other side, we also have Max and Ben both have the time. The other person who has the time is Daniel Rowden, who's a big danger man. If it's a slower race or if he's feeling good, he is notorious for placing top 2 and winning the British Trials. So Dan is somebody to watch out for and someone to keep a keen eye on. We then also have, so they're the top 3 with the times to automatic places. If they get automatic selection in the top 2, they're automatically gone. Ben is the other person who's the outlier because he's a reigning world medalist. He's also an automatic. All he has to do is show form, which he's done this season, so he's almost guaranteed it. So there's only really 2 slots to play for. And then we have myself, who also has the Olympic qualifying. I'm of course a danger man as well. So they're the top 4 front runners, if you like. However, to caveat that, we then have 2 other guys that have run 144 this year, being Tom Randolph and Callum Dodds, both brilliant runners. Both of them like a quicker race. Both of them are incredibly impressive and are real people to look out for. And then we come on to people who I also really do think we shouldn't take lightly, which is Alex Bottrell. He's just run 145. He's in brilliant shape as well. He's another good one. He has the ability to make the team. It's just whether would he commit himself in the final as a sacrificial lamb to take on the pace, and I'm not sure he would, but I don't think he's going to have to, just to confirm. I don't think he's going to have to. I think the pace is likely to be 144 mid to win the race on the weekend because of the guys that are in it. And then we come on to the last guy who I think is being overlooked a little bit, but is a major danger man, and that is Reece Sharman Newell, just right there. He is bloody good. He ran 145.1 I think and 145.0 back to back within so I ran it on maybe the Thursday and then ran it on the Saturday, and front ran both of them. He is a big danger man and he's ballsy. He's not afraid to take on the pace, and I think he's someone that massively need to watch out for. So Reece is the outlier that people haven't really been watching but should be, because he's young, he's talented, he's got all the assets to be on the team like the rest of us, and he's an outlier. However, there are other people that could affects the race massively and potentially stop people from making it into the final, because it's normally 1 through. In the final, then you normally get, as I said earlier, it's only 5 through in one heat, because one heat goes luck with the others and the others only get 1 through. But we have guys like Ben Higgins, I think his name's Ben Higgins from Tonbridge. He's a 145 runner, just hasn't had the opportunity. When you see him race, he's winning in 146. So, and he's winning comfortably. He just hasn't been in a race where he's been pulled on yet, or he's probably hasn't learned how to expose himself to that. So he's another guy who we need to watch out for. And who else do we have? We have the seasoned veterans, like people like Jamie Webb, who's a bit off it this season, but you can't ever rule him out. And Guy Liamup, who's back on it again this season. That guy's like a roller coaster, man. He's so up and down with his performances, but he's a seasoned professional and knows exactly how to approach championships. So there's a lot of talent. I mean, I've named about 8 guys there that could be in the final, and there's going to be a few outliers. I'm not sure who I'm missing. We're missing Carl Langford out of that mix because of various injuries. And are we missing anyone else? The big curveball. The curveball is Josh Kerr. So we have to mention Josh Kerr because he is an automatic buy like Ben for the 1500. He's already showed form this year. He's guaranteed to go to the Olympics in the 15, so he's going to be an outlier and he's going to contend in the 800. And because he's doing that, it means that he is going to want to run maybe like a 52-52. However, if we put Max in the mix, which would be good, it's not going to be run that way. So if the first lap goes through in a 52, Josh Kerr 51 high, 52 low, Josh Kerr becomes a huge threat in the game, because he physically is going to be the strongest in the field and will likely finish in a 52 low as well. So he's going to be happy to do 52 back to back, which will bring him around to a 44. The rest of us doing 2 52s back to back can be difficult. It's doable. I mean, I've done it myself. I've ran 44 off running sort of 51 highs, 52s low, and still come back in a 44. So it is doable, but it's tricky. So there we have it. I predict the race going like this. Providing all of the names I've just said make the final, Max takes out the pace, and we go through quicker than expected. And then there's going to be contenders, and those contenders for getting on his shoulder, I think, I've got a feeling Reese may well put himself in that position because he wants the time, because remember, the guys that don't have the time need the time. I then think my biggest danger man in terms of tactics that knows how to run is Ben Patterson, because he's going to want the same position I want. But if Reese is ahead of us and Max is, that's going to make it very tricky, because one of us is going to be in 3 or 4, and we don't want to be in position 3 or 4. We want to be in position 3 at the lowest. You want to be at 4th at the bell at the minimum. So it's going to be an interesting one. It will be an interesting one. I predict Max taking it out. Ideally, I'd put myself on his shoulder or in 3rd position. I can see the back straight getting very messy and a lot of people panicking, and that's where all the cannon fodder is going to come in. There's going to be a lot of people panicking on the back straight, and I think that's where we need to relax, because the move needs to be coming from 220 out to 200 out, and just holding that bend nice and strong and then coming home strong. Because we know that Max, if he does take it on, it'll be interesting to see how he holds it. He hasn't raced much this year, but again, he's such a talent. He's probably going to come out and try and run a 143 because he's just that guy. And it's the way he trains. He doesn't need to race. He's always race sharp. He trains like he races, so he doesn't need that sharpness that the rest of us need. And then it's just about, if Max takes it on, if I can find myself on his shoulder, I go with it, and then I know what I need to do from there, and then it becomes a train. And I think the same happens with Ben. If Ben finds that in that position, he goes on it and it's a train there. Only thing is that we ideally want myself or Ben on the back of that, or Dan Rowden, because we know we're going to hold on to it. The others might let him create a gap, which will cause panic in the masses, and then people will have to try and cover that gap, which will just cause a mess. Oh, a lot of rambling there. But I'm not going to predict positions, but I am going to predict as I've just said, how that race will be won. And it'll be interesting to see. It's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a fun one.